or as soon thereafter as they may be reached. At such time, all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Application number 478-23, Nicholas Danza. Permission to leave shed having side yard of 1.4 feet instead of required 2 feet. Residence A District, east side of Gardner Drive, 300 feet south of Huron Drive, Bay Shore. Is anybody here on the application of Nicholas Danza? Okay, when you all hear your names, just please come on up to the podium and tell us your name and address for the record.
I mean, he knew it personally, but you know, he thought he did.
How are you? Nicholas Danza. I'm here for 1331 Gardner Drive in Bay Shore.
Good evening.
How are you? Is there anything you guys need me to say or do?
Well, would you just here on the shed with the side yard of 1.4 feet instead of the required 2 feet?
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions on this? Planning, any comments? No? Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No? All right, I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the application. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the application is granted.
Okay. Anything else I need to do?
That's it.
Thank you.
Application number 479-23, Nicholas and Linda Kengott. Permission to leave pool equipment having side yard of 1.8 feet and rear yard of 2.6 feet instead of required 6 feet each. Residence A District, west side of Loop Drive, 75 feet north of Wart Court, Sayville.
The broker.
How you doing? I'm Nicholas Kengott, 93 Loop Drive, Sayville.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to hear.
Is the fan?
There is a water feature. It's daily work. Having
Pool is- You'll see.
oh. Pool equipment.
These little things in the corner here.
Yeah.
I see it.
Does anybody on the board have any questions?
Nope.
No? No? Okay. Anybody else like to be heard on this application? I'm sorry, planning, do you have any comments? No? All right. I will take a motion then.
I'll make a motion to grant the application. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application number 480-23, James and Barbara Alexander. Permission to leave water feature with slide having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 14 feet. Residence A District, east side of Collins Avenue, 512.15 feet north of Edwards Street, Sayville.
Great.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Amy DeVito, Woodhull Expediting with offices at 800 Veterans Memorial Highway, Hauppauge, New York. If I may, I'm going to hand Jay some photos for the board to see that were not previously submitted, just so you could see what I am speaking of when I explain. So we are here to legalize an existing water feature, which is basically landscaping with stone steps along with a water slide.
How high are the steps?
The steps, you'll see in the photos, they only go up to be about maybe 3 feet from grade. It's just to access the slide. And you'll see in the photos, there is a 6-foot fence. The water feature itself is actually just below the 6-foot fence, and there is heavy vegetation between the neighboring property and the water feature. What brings us so close to the property line is really just some small boulder rocks and landscaping, which is what builds up to the steps and then the water slide. And I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Are these the rails to the ladder next? I circled it. I'm sorry. Could you take a look, please? I'm sorry, Deidre, would you show that to? Because those are higher than 3 feet.
Yeah, that's the rail, but it's up above the steps. It's to support you.
You said 3 feet.
I was speaking of the steps.
Pardon me?
I was speaking of the steps. The railing goes above the steps so that you have support to get onto the actual slide.
So the rails are higher than the fence.
The rails are actually just about equivalent to the fence. I think that this is just kind of distorting it in the photo. There is another photo where you could see a side view.
The problem that we have is we never like ladders and high decks right next to the fence because it allows or denies privacy to the neighbors, and trees die.
Well, I understand that, but again, that particular part of the structure is actually 7 feet from the property line. It's not 1.1 feet.
What's the 1.1 feet?
It's some small boulder rocks that support basically the dirt and landscaping that the steps and slide rest on.
Right.
So it's not as close as it may appear, but in speaking with the zoning department and actually Deirdre, they explained that the reason why the landscaping was inclusive of the actual structure is because they just wanted to make sure that we wouldn't have to come back to you guys if the building department disagreed. So the water feature itself, the actual water feature is 7 feet from the property line.
All right. That seems to militate against my concern.
Any other questions from anyone? No. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? Planning, everybody? No? Take a motion then.
Make a motion to grant the application.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, this is that Thank you.
Application number 481-23, Oscar and Eileen Martinez. Permission to erect two-story addition, 26 by 28.53, leaving total side yards of 25.2 feet instead of required 28 feet, and to leave two window wells having side yard of 4 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence A District, north side of Naugatuck Lane, 75 feet east of Menasha Lane, East Islip.
Hi, I'm Eileen Martinez, 13 Naugatuck Lane, East Islip.
Two-story addition, leaving total side. I'm sorry, can you help explain this to me? Permission to erect two-story addition, leaving total side yards, blah, 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 instead of 28. And are you going straight up? And
Yeah, it's a garage. It's going to be a garage addition.
Look how wide the lot is.
I-
You're going into the side yard, though.
Onto the side yard,
And then
that's
straight
not
up.
the 4 feet. Yeah, the opposite.
Are you going the opposite?
The opposite
Yeah,
side, the 4 feet, there's,
Yep. That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
This is the addition.
The addition is proposed in front of the driveway.
Okay.
And how far will that be from the property line, the addition?
husband would have come. It doesn't say it in the plan, sorry.
Total side yards.
That's total. Pardon?
It doesn't say it in the plans, I'm sorry, I didn't bring
I
that.
don't know. I'm
I
asking.
think
plan
it's,
is not very
it's,
clear.
it's supposed to be 20 feet, it's still the 20 feet on that side.
Okay, I just want to make sure because we just have the existing, I have no idea what's being built.
It's actually,
This,
the plot
This
plan
one?
is,
Oh,
the plot
okay.
plan is hard to read because it doesn't show the driveway, so that you
Right.
don't understand. It's a two-story addition getting built at the top of the existing driveway. And the plot plan indicates that the side yard will be 18.5 feet. So together with the opposite side yard, the only side yard variance that's actually necessary is that for total
I
side
got it.
yards.
okay, thank you.
Planning, do you have any comments?
Right.
Any other questions? Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? Take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The application's granted.
Okay, thank you.
Application number 482-23, Marie Dahl, permission to leave one-story addition having side yard of 13.4 feet instead of required 14 feet, rear deck having rear yard of 2.3 feet, patio having side yard of 2 feet, and driveway having side yard of 3.6 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence A District, west side of Wirt Street, 935.7 feet south of Wiley Street, Brentwood.
Good evening. If it's all right with you, I'm just going to go down the list of the,
First, give us your name and
I'm
address.
sorry, Richard Bronchick, Bronchick, 87 Rhoda Avenue, North Babylon, New York, 11703. Okay. We have 4 items on the list that we're requesting variances for. First is an addition. It's a one-story addition. It's not building up. It's building out, and it's in line with the existing line of the house. If you can see that from the survey. So we're not asking for an increase or a decrease of the existing side yard. It's the same side yard that already existed before the addition. As far as the driveway is concerned, we are asking for a minor variance of, they're saying 3.6. Actually, if you look at the survey in the back of the driveway, it says, I think zoning missed it, it says 3.4 feet. So I would like to amend the application to request a 3.4 foot allowance instead of 4 feet. So we don't have to come back, so in case someone picks up on it after the fact.
That's on the rear deck?
No, we're talking about the driveway. The rear of the driveway, it says the setback is 3.4 feet. The front of the driveway says 3.6 feet, which is where zoning got the denial from.
Oh, I see.
So I just don't want to have to come back in case it becomes a technicality later on. So I would like to amend the application to request a 0.6 variance instead of 0.4.
Ask you, what's the purpose of that deck all the way in the back?
Okay, we can go to the deck. The deck, they didn't want something that was up against the house or put something right in the middle. They relied on their contractor when it was put in to know the code, and apparently he didn't, and it is where it is right now.
What's the height of, I'm sorry.
The deck,
What does it do? What's it a deck for?
oh, they just entertain out there. It's just a place to sit.
All the way back on the fence line?
Yeah, apparently. I would note that it is, to answer your question, it's approximately 15 inches high. And there is a lot of foliage separating. There's a 6-foot fence and foliage
Yeah.
behind the neighbors.
Do you have any pictures of the deck? Or
I don't have photos of the deck with me. Also, there are no complaints
Right.
by the neighbors.
They do walk across the dirt to get to the deck. What do? Walk out the back, walk across the dirt, grass, and then sit on the deck?
Yes,
That's, everybody does their own things.
it's,
Yeah, I mean, we've
that's
seen a lot
what
of
they
weird
decided to
decks.
do. I can only tell you what they decided to do.
I mean, there's always the backstory. I don't know if we'll get it with this one, but it seems, looks like a really weird place. Usually you want the deck close to the house, so
Most people do.
come out with the hamburgers and the steaks.
Everybody
is it possible?
has their own choices. Excuse me?
Is it a stage?
A stage? No.
I think it was that question.
Are those the applicants?
Yes, would you
Well,
like
why don't you have
would you
them
like to
come up?
ask?
Sure.
Yes.
No, you don't even have to. We'll ask.
Okay.
Hi.
Could just give us your name and address.
My name is Mary Dow. The address is 245 West Street, Brentwood, New York.
I thought you were involved because you were chuckling. Help us out. What is this deck for? Is it like a stage?
No. We just have kids. Sometimes we have birthday party. That's it.
All right.
Did you build that or was it there when you bought the house?
Oh, no, I build that when I buy the house.
Okay. Thank you.
And the last item is the side patio on the side of the house opposite of the driveway. And the zoning denial says that we're requesting a 2-foot variance. Apparently, they think it's only 2 feet, it's 2 feet, excuse me, that the setback is existing 2 feet right now. So we're asking for another 2 feet. However, if you look at your copies of the survey, the surveyor did not put in the setbacks at that time or the dimensions of that patio. I had him put in those numbers if I could have this gentleman bring them up, and I highlighted it. The numbers are, the deck is, if I could look at this really quick.
It's as clear as mud. What is the distance and what is the
It's-
variance? Wait. What is what is in the call and what is that you are seeking to amend?
The zoning denial says 2 feet.
2 feet. And that's in the call of our calendar.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
However, the distance is actually 2.8 feet. So we need a much smaller variance.
Yeah.
We'd like to amend it, and, excuse me?
I think we can leave it as 2 feet. That way,
Okay, however you want to do it. I just wanted to show we needed less than you were requesting, than was in there originally. And I'll entertain any questions.
are there any questions?
No, I don't. Did we amend?
Not yet. Planning, do you have any comments? No. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Okay, first we'll make a motion to amend the call, reflecting the driveway having a side yard of 3.4 feet instead of required 4 feet.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And now I'll take a motion on the application.
Make a motion to grant the application.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Application number 483-23, James and Lynn Sagal, permission to leave one-story addition having side yard of 10.3 feet instead of required 14 feet, resulting in floor area ratio of 27.6% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, north side of Ogden Road, 120 feet east of Barnard Street, West Islip.
Hi, Lynn Sagal and James Sagal, 39 Ogden Road, West Islip, New York.
Thank you. And this one-story addition is in line with the rest of the structure?
Yes,
Yes, it
right, that we did a while ago. We just kind of enclosed a deck and made it more like a sunroom for, when we have our kids over and stuff like that.
You don't put them out in the deck by the,
No, no.
Any other questions from the board? No. No planning, any comments? Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? All right, I'll take the motion then.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, application's granted.
Aye,
Thank you. Have a good night.
aye, sir.
Application number 484-23, Abel Gonzalez, Juan Madrid, and Vilma Madrid. Permission to leave patio having side yard setback of 3 feet instead of required 4 feet, and driveway having front yard occupancy of 44% instead of permitted 40%. Residence A District, east side of Wilson Boulevard, 3,405.3 feet north of Locust Street, Central Islip. Is anybody here on that application?
I'll put on second.
Application number 485-23, Michael Brush and Vanessa Gilberti. Permission to leave hot tub having side yard of 13 feet instead of required 14 feet. Pool patio having rear yard of 4 feet and side yard of 3 feet instead of required 6 feet each. 2 sheds having front yard of 7.2 feet and 6.2 feet instead of required 27 feet each. Shed having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 2 feet. All sheds not having 20 feet behind the front line of the dwelling, and 6-foot fence on property line not having a required setback of 10 feet. Residence A District, northwest corner of Dale Drive and Mina Road, Oakdale.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York.
Good evening.
We're here today to seek a variance for a hot tub. The hot tub has a side yard of 13 feet instead of the required 14 feet. Pool patio also de minimis request 4 feet and 3 feet instead of 6 feet. And then the property has 3 sheds. The first one is a small 7-by-7 shed. It does not have 20 feet behind the front line of the dwelling. I did take a look at the survey. We're about 14 feet behind the line of the dwelling. And it also, because it's a corner property, it has a front yard of 7.2 feet instead of the required 27 feet. There is another small shed right next to it that also is requesting the not having 20 feet behind. That one is about 6 feet. It's placed right next to the other shed. And again, because of the corner property, it is showing a front yard of 6.2 feet instead of the required 27 feet. And then on the other side of the property, we have another small shed, 8-by-12. That one is 5 feet behind the front line of the dwelling, but is not on the second front. So it has a side yard of 1 foot instead of the required 2 feet. Then we have a 6-foot fence on the property line, not having the required setback of 10 feet. What they did was, if you take a look at the photo
Yeah.
from where the fence is and the town right-of-way, they have the 10 feet that is required. They measured from their curb line, not knowing where their actual property line was.
How far is the town right away?
10 feet.
From the, I know you can't see this, but from the property line that's marked there, it's another 10 feet to the curb?
Yes, and I did provide a photo of the fence showing the 10 feet of grass there.
Maybe, I don't know, can somebody help me? The pool looks like it's on the wrong side.
So that's a 2020 aerial, which was, we were very excited when we got 2020, but I can't believe in 3 years, so many things have changed because of the pandemic and the low interest rates and everybody investing in their backyards. So that pool has already been demolished, rebuilt up in the northwest corner of the property, and 2 sheds are put in its place. The pool had a permit. They're here to close the pool permit.
Yes, that's what triggered the application, was they pulled a permit for an in-ground pool. They replaced the pool that was there, and they wanted to conform, although they did come here for the pool relief as well. And then where the old pool that is in the aerial, that was replaced with the 2 small sheds.
Zoom in on that a little more. Where's the sheds?
Right there.
I did give a picture of the sheds.
They're
in the
behind the
front.
front line of the house on the east side, but not on the south side. Right?
Correct.
Real,
It's
the
one
6-foot
lot.
fence.
Right. That's it.
Well,
There's no
Does it
fence issue?
come- No, there is a fence issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
On the
yeah.
property line.
So the 6-foot fence is right on the property line.
And then there's a 10-foot right-of-way, yes.
The square footage of the property.
It's slightly over.
You know what it is?
It's irregular. I think they tried calculating it.
30% of an acre. So yeah, it's
What's it?
13,000 square.
12.9? We usually do 12.5.
I think 12.5 is our cutoff. Well, I think the 6-foot fence presents a problem.
The bushes behind it.
I did send a picture of the fence showing that it doesn't impede the view of the neighbor in any way when they're backing out of their driveway. There is no shrubbery there, no landscaping. It's just straight grass in that 10-foot right-of-way.
Town is very protective of their 6-foot fence. And how far back does it have to go to, further back does it have to go to remain 6 feet?
10.
10 feet.
No.
Because of the irregular shape of the lot and having the second front, it would really encroach onto their property a lot.
They'll have to reduce the height of the fence. I don't know what else we can do.
They reduce it, it's allowed on the property line there.
Have to go down to 4 feet.
Yeah.
Put up shrubs.
Shrubs are there.
Shrubs are already there.
Yeah, well, then if they lower it, then they'll get the privacy. I don't know what we can
But
do.
there is a pool over there, with the 4-foot fence.
The pool's on the other side.
Pool's on the other side, yes.
There's a fence around that in addition to this.
The other sides aren't an issue because it's not the part of the corner. It's in between houses and then the rear.
There's a
Property.
fence around the pool.
Yes, they're 6 feet. Yes.
I mean, as you know, we deny these 6-foot fences all the time, unfortunately.
Yes. I think here the difference was because the right-of-way was so large, and it's really not encroaching in the neighbor. That's why I brought a picture of it so that you could see that it doesn't impede the view in any way. It doesn't create like a site obstruction. There is 10 feet there from the curb to where the fence lies.
Yeah, of course. You want to reserve and think about it?
Can we reserve this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes,
How about, are we okay with everything else though?
yeah. There's nowhere else for
shed?
the sheds to go, so. I mean, the sheds, that's problematic too. We make people move sheds all the time. DJ, do we make people move sheds all the time?
I think if there's any reason the shed on the side, because it's on the side.
That's a fair, yeah. No, that's,
Having
that's
that, moving it to 1 foot.
No, she means 20
One
feet back.
on the side of the
back.
20 feet back.
Having said, oh.
Yeah, it's,
might just be like 4 feet behind.
That's all it's-
yeah, it's almost on the property line, and it's 10 feet. The other two, we could live with.
That looks like the older. Would you say the shed on the north side is the older of the three sheds?
We're talking about the 8x12.
Yeah.
That's been there the longest. The other two that replaced the pool that was removed are the ones installed by this property owner. The other one was there before they purchased the property.
What type of shed is the shed that's 10 feet high on the north side? Is it?
That is mostly for lawn equipment. And then the newer sheds were for pool equipment.
I'm sorry, is that it right there?
Yes, and I did provide new pictures, current pictures of the sheds.
Is that a prefab shed that they deliver and,
This is the,
That's the shed right there, yes.
I mean, it wasn't built from scratch. I guess what I'm trying to say is, with a modicum of difficulty, it can be moved. It's not,
Possibly, yes.
yeah, it looks like it's
Not anchored in.
pre,
Is it anchored in?
I don't know, it looks like it's on, doesn't look like it's on a foundation.
I don't think so.
I mean, they wouldn't have to tear it down, and
I mean, it's the bigger of the three.
that's why we're focusing on it.
But that one only needs 1 foot instead of 2 feet for the variance. It
No.
needs the
20 feet behind.
20 feet behind. Problem is, I think there might be something in the way of that.
we're gonna want
There
it
is.
to reserve. decision.
Okay.
They're not in a rush, right? They're not in a rush?
They want to close out the pool, but what's their
Yeah,
rush?
that their other permit is expiring.
Your only concern is the shed and the
The
fence.
the one
fence.
shed moving
Yeah,
it
so-
20 feet behind and the fence.
You good with that?
Okay.
And we'll reserve on the other two. Can we do that?
No, if we split it, it creates administrative problems.
What was it?
Yeah, so they can use the fence and, I mean, the pool and the fence. And
We'll reserve, but
Okay.
we'll get you the decision quick. We're having an executive meeting, I think, soon.
No,
Right, Mayor?
that's some debate. We couldn't agree on a date.
All right, well, I'll take a motion then to reserve the decision.
I'll make a motion to reserve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So we reserve the decision.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Application number 486-23, Robin Malasco, Carlo Malasco, and Channing Malasco. Permission to leave shed having side yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 2 feet, and shed not having 20 feet behind the front line of the dwelling. Residence AA District, east side of Crestwood Road, 406 feet south of Windwood Road, Bohemia.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Charles J. Broody, architect, representing the property owner.
Sorry you went now, right after the last one.
Yeah, I know. It's good to be back in this facility.
Yes, it is.
Can they move the fence? I mean, the shed?
They probably can, yes.
We figured you'd say that.
Yep.
Chairman, how far back do you think they should move?
Right, I took a measurement of it. It's about 6 feet back from the front of the house now. Front of that shed, from the front of the house.
Want to make it move 15?
What do we normally?
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking, Deidre, what do we normally, if there is a normal anymore?
This one is one, the first one. This one is the second one.
Ooh.
That's 1.5 instead of 2, that's all. This is, what is this? Shed number 2.
Right.
What is this?
No,
It's air conditioning. What is this down leader or downspout, this white downspout for?
that I do not No.
Well, you're an architect. You must tell me what you think it is. It's not coming from the roof.
No, it's coming from the ceiling up
Yeah,
above.
it looks like it's for the AC here.
Very possible. I was told that that was a workshop
That's not
after doing the garage conversion to the house.
Would I be taking a wild leap to say it's being used in an accessory building? I mean, you don't normally AC where you keep your lawnmower and your
No, I believe
potting
it's,
soil.
no, but I was told it was a workshop. So maybe they,
A workshop?
yeah, AC. In the previous, application to the house, the
Mr.
garage
Brody,
was
I'm not an
converted.
architect. I don't do any building.
Yeah.
I knew this was AC. You had to know right off the bat it was AC. When you said you didn't know, you had a pretty good idea,
I
yes?
had a good idea
Yeah, all right.
that it was.
If you asked me a basic legal question, and I said, I don't know, you'd say, come on, Billy, of course you know. Do we need to get an inspection to find out what's going on in there? I mean, do we blind ourselves that somebody puts AC in there and, I don't know. You don't have any pictures from the interior?
No, I did not have access to the inside.
Would you like to get us some photographs, or should we have an inspection, or I'll ask Mary?
It's a workshop.
Okay.
It's a workshop.
But we don't know. He doesn't know either.
They do it AC and a recreational type storage unit after they have to come back to the commission. But it's not on the back.
We don't know what it is. And Mr. Brody hasn't been inside.
They go get legalized as an AC unit, then they deem it for recreational
They go out
purposes,
and
and then they have to come back to.
So what do you, at the end of the day, what,
It's not really, right, it's not right for us, we're just strictly for the location of it right now, not for its use. If we determine that, okay, the use is being used for, if it has AC, then we deny it. Based off of, what's the other problem?
I know, I'm not saying deny it. I just like to know what it is. I mean, I don't think we have to blind ourselves to, like when we see 5 trucks parked in front of a house with Joe's Construction. Right. All right.
So we're going to ask you to move the location of that shed.
Okay, understandable.
Inspected,
Okay,
and then they'll determine at that point what the use is.
what the use is, I understand.
How far back do you
Wo-
want to move? Any suggestions?
So what are we saying, 15 after the code change? Right.
Around,
Looks like they have plenty of space.
Yeah. Then we'll
Okay, so
accept the first portion of the application on the first shed. Side yard of 1.5 instead of 2. And then modify the application, the second shed having 15 feet. Is that what we're looking to do?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? All right, so we'll take a motion then on the modified.
Okay,
Motion that we approve, as you indicate, the first portion of the application that we modified, second portion of the application to indicate 15 feet.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Application number 487-23, Luis Barrentos and Angelica Marie Reyes, permission to leave patio having side yard of 0.9 feet instead of required 4 feet, roofed over patio having side yard of 2 feet instead of 14 feet, and floor area ratio of 25.8% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, south side of Blue Jay Drive, 70 feet east of Dyson Court, Brentwood.
Good evening. Maria Hickey, Victory Expediting, 606 Johnson Avenue, Suite 25, Bohemia, New York, 11716.
Could you spell your last name for me, please?
Spell my last name, Hickey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Ms. Hickey.
Good evening.
How did they get to 25.8? What gets them that 0.8?
I'm sorry, I didn't review that. I was so concerned with the roof itself that it seemed like such a small discrepancy that I didn't give attention to it. I apologize for that.
No, that's okay, but it's okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It is a small discrepancy.
What happened today? Seems like some demolition done on the house?
There's no demolition. It's a beautiful house.
There was those were printed out from the code enforcement.
Maybe there was an accident. A car went through the
Yeah, a
house.
car veered into the house several years ago.
Car veered into, but at the point that they hired us, house is gorgeous, spotless.
Wow.
It's a beautiful house. We would like permission to keep the 2 feet.
Was it DWI?
DWI?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Or was the house?
Someone going to church.
Who's drinking?
Yeah, right.
There's a blind guy.
Was the house moving at the time? I mean,
Wasn't around then. The owners are here, they can tell you. But at this point, it's just a gorgeous house, spotless, and the roof is beautiful, and, I want to make my case here because it's a beautiful house. I don't want to see it touched. And if I can, there is also another house in the neighborhood with a 1-foot side yard. And that would be 33 Thrush Drive, as well as the nature and character of that neighborhood. There are 12 other homes with a same roof, 7 of which are right on the property line. So, I don't know if they were all built that way, or I just would find it unfair to have them be destructive to this beautiful home, which fits right in with the rest of the neighborhood.
Lanny, do you have any comments on this?
Do we have pictures of it, or I don't know what it looks like. That's why here we do.
And they keep the house beautiful. There aren't any issues with the neighbors.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
There aren't any issues with the neighbors with the roof.
I still didn't hear you, but
There aren't any issues with the neighbors.
what type of neighbor issue?
Like the neighbors next door are not complaining about, the roof being there or
Oh,
anything.
okay.
Yeah.
They like it.
They like it.
Other than the fact that it's large, I'm asking, Deidre, I'm sorry, other than the fact that it's quite large, from a zoning perspective, what impact does it have?
I was able to find and connected. I was trying to look up the one that out. I'm not sure where the other ones are, but this one, because patios are always very difficult.
Right, does it go right to the property line, the roof over?
It's 2 feet instead of,
I'm sorry?
it's 2 feet instead of.
Wow.
And if it helps, I have pictures of the neighbors all, and I have the 7 homes that are right on the.
We don't know if those are legal,
Right, we don't.
so, but that's problematic, that it's 2 feet instead of 14.
But there is a precedent on Thrush for 1 foot.
We don't know if it's legal.
This one here.
What does it say on that?
I wrote that. I wrote that. I measured it. Yeah. I thought 33 thresh, but
I mean,
maybe I measured to grouse, which is 1 block south. Is thresh 2 blocks south?
We don't have any precedent for this,
We
so
wouldn't accept thrush as a precedent.
we don't know if it's there legally.
I have the CO.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a
Can I
start.
pass that to you? Well, that's a decision and then I have the ZBA decision and then here, this is the ZBA decision. That's the decision.
It probably is, Mary says it is, probably the second one.
Well, just scale, just
Or-
turn up just a little
I don't know
bit.
the CO is.
South
I
of
don't know if that
grouse is
helps.
thresh, right? Yeah. So
How was this? How was that granted?
I try and do it.
That's, I,
But it's apparently, that's what they do.
it's hard.
It's substantial, so it's like, we're just continuing the route. Looks like we can close it easily, whereas the previous 33 rush or brush, and it is usually at 11 seconds, so it's just like 30 times. It starts veering away from that look, it's not just a front look.
Right, wow, that's, yeah, it's much heavier look. One reserve. Wow.
All right, so is there anyone else that would like to make a comment on this application? No? All right, I'll take a motion for reserve.
I'll make a motion to reserve decision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice evening.
application number 488-23, Victor Manuel Flores Salgado and Mayela Gonzalez. Permission to use dwelling for two-family, family use only pursuant to Town Code Section 68-419.1. To leave addition to detached garage 16.3 by 20.3, having rear yard of 2.5 feet and side yard of 3.6 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Patio having rear yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 4 feet. Shed having front yard of 1.8 feet instead of required 20 feet, with accessory buildings occupying 40.4% of the rear yard instead of permitted 25%, and 11.5% of the total lot area instead of the permitted 10%. Rear yard landscaping of 7.6% instead of required 40%, and driveway on side property line not having a required setback of 4 feet. Residence B District, southeast corner of Gibson Avenue and Pioneer Street, Brentwood.
Hello, everybody. Dana Bush, 41 Whittier Avenue, Medford, New York. We have a laundry list of things. I'll go in order. I just handed him basically everything I'm going to say and then all my evidence that goes with it. First up is the family use only. It's for her mother. She is over 70. She helps out with the kids. There's 3 small children. Just to have your mom close by. She has her, and to still have her own living space, not sitting in the bedroom next door. Then they have the addition to the detached garage. It's 10.2 by 14. It has less than 2 feet when it needs the 4. I attached aerials and COs for legal houses within a 2-block radius that have larger garages. There's 3 of them. That's used for just storage. He has a motorcycle. They have every power wheel you could possibly need for 3 small kids. Next, we have the patio relief, the same thing. He did do a lot of the backyard is the concrete, and that's because the corner lot that they're on by Gibson and Pioneer Street is very, very busy, a lot of traffic. People just come flying around the corners. So to have all the kids in the back with spike scooters, rollerblades, anything you name it, they have it and they can keep them on the back. I also attached very similar size patios from aerials. I mean, they don't have the COs to go along with it, but they are the aerials. The shed is very small, 78 square feet, and because we are on the corner, it doesn't hold the required 20-foot setback. That once again holds just extra toys. The our accessory buildings, yes, we are asking for a bigger relief here. It's the 40% instead of the required 25. It is a larger ask because of everything in the backyard, but that also that has everything in the back. The only permanent fixtures are the attached garage and the addition. And if you look at it, total lot is only 1%. And then as far as the rear yard landscaping, it's not on the survey, but he did just plant, there's 14 arborvitaes on the corner of Pioneer, and then there's 8 on the back of it. And then there's 4 more on the inside of the fence line on the corner. So give that about 3 years, and those trees are going to be blocking every single thing possible. The driveway is next. I know I submitted, there's 14 other driveways just on the block alone. Those are all the pictures submitted. Yes, once again, they're not CO'd, but the driveway is beautiful. It conforms with every other house on the block, basically. And then last, it's on my denial, but it's not on the letter that went out, and that's for the addition to the house. So I just wanted to make sure that we didn't lose it, because it is on the original denial, and that's holding,
Is it in the
setback.
call? Is it in the-
No, I tried. It's not on the call sheet,
Then we can't address it.
but it's on my denial and the
But it's not on
original.
the call
Okay,
because it's not published.
okay,
So we can't address it. We wouldn't be allowed to.
okay. How would I go about that? Because I just noticed that when I was preparing everything, that it was left out.
There's 2 ways. You can adjourn and I guess refile to include it. That would be the smartest thing to do. You
Okay,
can't grant it if it's not on the call.
I know.
It's not before us.
I mean, I have the denial and everything, but I know that doesn't really help. Okay,
If you want to run out and serve the denial on the public, you can, but that's not going to help.
if that would help me, I'll take what I can get. This took a lot of guts to come up right now.
So my suggestion to you is to adjourn it and make sure it gets on the calendar. I know
Okay,
it's on the denial.
okay,
It's got to be on the calendar, otherwise we can't address it. And you're not going to get complete relief. You're going to be back here again.
okay. So I guess I have to ignore everything I just talked about for the past 15 minutes and adjourn.
Those are your words. We ignore nothing.
So it's a one-story addition?
It's a 1-story addition. It's just extra playroom and 3 small kids. You got a lot of stuff going on in that house.
The first thing on the denial?
I'm sorry?
How does it read on the denial?
On my denial,
Is it the first item on the denial?
it says permission to leave an addition, 16 3x20, having rear yard setback of 22. I think they combined the 2 additions. Because there's an addition to the garage and addition to the house.
I'm lost on it. Right. Well, we're trying to find a way to get around it. However, you may want some more time to have a plan B because 40.4% rear yard instead of 25 and 7.6 instead of 40 with respect to rear yard, it's a huge ask, and I guarantee there's no precedent.
I know.
So you may want a plan B anyway. Because I'm only speaking for myself, but that's a real tough ask. And
Well, I know the clearing is, but plant a bunch more arborvitaes on the side and,
I know, but we don't have any.
no, I'm saying the homeowner can plant more arborvitaes and get a survey updated showing what my clearings are.
Planting arborvitae doesn't take away from the percentage of rear yard occupancy. It's not going to do anything.
Okay,
I mean, you're way over what we permit.
yes,
Just planting a couple of bushes isn't going to fix it.
Yeah. And then the rear yard landscaping, it may help it, but it's so far, it's 7.6.
I know.
The test we use, or the state uses, is substantial. So this may be a good time to take an adjournment and sharpen your pencil. just a suggestion.
If she were to adjourn, what items would we have her sharpen the pencil on? The rear yard landscape?
Yeah, and the 40.4%, because there's no precedent for that. So you may want to sit down with your clients and say, how do we ameliorate this? You don't have to, but
And Deirdre's
I don't
always
know.
available. You can call her. She'll help you through it too.
Did you
Very
have any
good.
comments on the application?
Those are the two things that I appreciate. Normally we grant 30% rear yard
Right.
occupancy, so the fact that's down to 7.6, it's just.
For the rear yard, I just have a question. I don't know if you guys would have the answer to this. Does the gazebo count in that count as well?
yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure. Because that's a
Deirdre
easier
knows what we-
removal.
Knows what we do. She knows generally what we grant and don't grant. So if you take an adjournment, speaking to her would probably be very helpful.
So it's a good time to say, may I have an adjournment, and we'll give you a date, and you can kind of tighten up your application.
Okay, I guess I'll take the adjournment.
So, would you like an adjournment?
Yeah, yes, please.
September 5, okay, it's the day after Labor Day.
Yeah, that should be good. The only problem is I have violations on it, so hopefully that doesn't come into it.
Tell them you have a zoning application pending. They'll push.
They'll,
No,
they'll
no,
push it.
Adjourn to September 5th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along.
Application number 489-23, Tiffany Phillips and Paul Pimpinella. Permission to erect detached garage leaving height of 15.5 feet instead of permitted 14 feet, having door height of 9 feet instead of permitted 8 feet. Residence AA District, east side of Lakeland Avenue, 84 feet south of Wilson Street, Bohemia.
Good evening. Tiffany Phillips, 1244 Lakeland Avenue, Bohemia, New York, 11716.
Yes, yes.
Is there any justification for the height of the garage?
Yes, we're intending to hopefully purchase a boat within the next year. So we were hoping to get a higher door, and the architect said that we would have to get a higher height on the building to get the door to work.
Sorry, you're just gonna have to speak up.
Yeah, what is it?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Can they make the mic any louder? I can't hear.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
So our chairman asked you, what was the justification for the additional height?
So we are intending to purchase a boat within the next year or so. So we were hoping to have a higher door height in order to be able to store the boat within the garage rather than in the driveway. And the architect said that we would need a higher height in order for this to work, or a flat roof, which we would prefer not to have.
Unfortunately, we deny these all the time.
This is you live directly on Lakeland Avenue. This is a residence?
Yes, we are on the busy side of Lakeland Avenue where there's 5 lanes of traffic. We're directly adjacent to industrial uses where there are warehouses and car washes. About 400 feet from our residence, there's a 4-story warehouse currently being built. And our neighbor to the south, which I'm not sure if it's CO'd, of course, also has a very large detached shed, which is over 14 feet.
Neighbor to your south, is that a residence also? Or business?
There's only, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The neighbor to your south.
Yes. I think at one point they were a chiropractor, but it seems like they're retired. And we are also heavily screened. Yes.
No, it doesn't work on the screen. No, it works. It just doesn't work on the screen.
We're gonna get away with this. What a new one. Hold on. Only works on
Oh, wow.
Right.
Next screen.
Where is the proposed garage going to go? In the driveway?
It'll be slightly set back behind the driveway. Yes. Approximately a little over 5 feet from the fence. So it'll be in line with the left side of the driveway, further from the southern parcel.
And then, so all right, is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Planning, do you have any comments? Or
There's no listing, I, the door, I understand, but height. Yes.
I mean, if it's a matter of the use of heavy commercial area, wow. Construction going on.
I mean, construction zoning districts have their own regulations, they have bigger, they're a lot bigger, well, this is a residence, so it's trying to keep the residents. It's on the cusp of the but.
And since it's new construction, it's to be built. All right.
Take a motion to reserve then?
I'll make a motion, we reserve decision.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this has been reserved.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, but
Application number 490-23, Marvin and Gina Young. Permission to erect second-story addition 8.4 by 14.5, leaving arterial highway setback of 29.9 feet instead of required 40 feet. Residence B District, northeast corner of Spur Drive South and Broadway Avenue, Islip.
Good afternoon, Marvin Young, 1267 Spur Drive South, Islip in New York, 11751.
Are you expanding this addition any outside the footprint of the house, or is it right on top?
Right on top.
Not making it any bigger sideways?
No, it's actually an existing closet that we're extending into a small room.
So it's right on top of the house, it's not getting any bigger outside the footprint of the house?
No,
What's behind your house?
what's behind?
I mean, it just looks like woods.
Wait, what's to the north of it?
It's
Okay, all right. Vacant
Planning, you have any comments on it?
No objections.
Objections? Anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No? Take a motion on it then?
I'll make the motion to grant the application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
yeah, thank you. Good evening.
Application number 491-23, Michael and Cindy Shaw. Permission to leave roofed-over porch having front yard of 13.6 feet instead of required 25 feet. Residence B District, west side of Hiram Avenue, 100 feet south of Hauser Avenue, Holbrook.
Good evening, Michael and Cindy Shaw, 1470 Hiram Avenue, Holbrook, 11741.
How big is the roofed over porch?
Because the roof over porch.
We granted this porch back in '03, but it came in, the measurement came in a little bit. 6 inches.
He's bringing up the survey. If I was to estimate it, it was about 4 feet by 6 feet. The porch has been there since the house was built in 1931. When we had the extension put on, we
Sir,
put new shingle on the, we put new shingle on the porch just so it would match the rest of the house. And we're there 24 years, and the porch is, we did not add the porch, it was existing.
Planning, do you have any comments on this? Any other questions from the board?
No.
Is anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? I'll take a motion then.
I'll make a motion to grant the application. Second.
He stole
All in
Holbrook
favor?
from you.
Application is granted.
Thank you very much.
Holbrook from you, right? Mhm. Application number 492-23, Victor and Diane Nigro. Permission to leave roofed over deck resulting in floor area ratio of 32.61% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, west side of Cortlandt Drive, 600 feet north of Wissippi Drive, Bayshore.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. Michael Dunn, DUNN. I'm the architect for Diane Nigro. So we're asking to legalize the rear covered porch, leaving the FAR of 32.61. That covered porch was built over a deck back in 2009. And 2 years ago, there was a one-car attached garage built to the house. So that's how we got to this 32.61. I did speak with Deirdre in planning, and she did say there was precedence to match this number in that area. So I figured if that would go along and not set a precedent, we would be okay.
Just looking at the file, Mr. Dunn, we can see that there was a grant back in 2018 for 32% FAR.
That was before my time. That might have been for the attached garage.
It was the subject parcel. So the applicant was allowed to build to 32% to put on the attached garage. Yeah.
Okay.
The one-story addition, it says.
Maybe the calculations got us up to 32.61. That would include everything with the roofed over porch. It seems like their math might have just been a little bit off to get to 0.6.
This is there then.
Was it, if here, the decision should have a survey attached to it. I hope it does. There must have been precedent for 32 at the time of the 2018 approval because we granted 32%.
Yeah, there's precedent at 32.7, 37.3, 32.3.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Do we have any questions on the board?
No.
Would your client be okay with if we added that they would never enclose the roofed over portion?
Yes, definitely.
Motion on that?
I'll make a motion to grant the application with the proviso that it never be.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application.
Thank you.
Application number 493-23, Alex and Donna Ludmer. Permission to leave dwelling having first floor elevation of 14.5 feet instead of permitted 14 feet. Entrance platform with stairs having side yard of 9 feet instead of required 15 feet. And shed having front yard of 41.5 feet instead of required 60 feet. Residence BAA District, west side of Sandpiper Walk, 192 feet south of Central Walk, Dunewood.
Hi, I'm Donna Ludmer. This is my husband, Alex Ludmer. We had a house fire in 2020 and came before the ZBA for the reconstruction of our house. At that time, we got permission to build a staircase in the front of our house. We got a ZBA because of the setback at that point. During the house lift, our contractor said that we should really go up to a NIMWA line, not sure exactly what that is. So we did raise the house higher than we expected and couldn't put the staircase in front of the house unless we wanted a spiral staircase. So we moved it to the side of the house. I guess there's a little platform at the top of the staircase. I don't know if you have any other specific questions.
Is there a prior ZBA approval?
Yes, yes. We have 2 ZBA approvals on this house. We did a construction, I think, in 2017, and then in 2020, we got the ZBA approval prior to the, reconstruction after the fire. We didn't change the footprint of our house at all. It's probably the smallest house on the block.
What year was the fire? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
What year was the fire?
2020.
Before the 2020 decision, obviously.
I'm sorry?
Before the 2020 decision? When it?
No, after, when we submitted our building permit, we had to go for a ZBA approval because of the staircase in front of the house.
So
What-
maybe you could, oh, I'm sorry.
What date was the fire?
July 27th, 2020.
Before that decision.
So how does what they call the calendar differ from the zoning board opinion from November 12th, 2020?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
How does the call of the calendar differ from the November 12th, 2020 decision of the board? What is it that you want
What's
different?
different between
Yeah.
what you asked for before and what you're asking for now?
Okay, so originally, we got permission to put the staircase in front of the house. The elevation was not, it wasn't lifted to the Nimwah line or whatever that is. So in order to go to that line, we lifted the house and the staircase no longer fits in front of the house. So we did get permission to put the staircase in front of the house. Couldn't do that anymore, so we put it on the side of the house.
Basically, the house got 2 feet taller as a result of this. It was
Okay,
advised by.
I know, we're just trying to, so one of the differences is the staircase is on the side instead of the front.
Correct.
Anything else?
I get, at the top of the staircase, there's a little platform,
There's a landing?
a landing, and that landing, I guess, is added a couple feet.
I'm sorry, is this it? That I circled? Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the staircase to the side right there.
And that's the landing up on the top,
I mean, the landing is probably this big,
like 3 feet?
3 feet by 4 feet.
Okay, I got you. I don't think anything is earth shaking.
So the setback must be 9. It's hard when the surface.
Yeah. I don't see any issue.
Do you have any questions?
We're allowed to go. No, it's shown. That's safe.
Dan.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? Any other questions planning? Do you have any comments?
The last one.
Okay.
I have nothing.
All right. I'll take a motion then on this.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application number 494-23, Tatiana Santana and Ralph Etienne. Permission to erect two-story addition with covered deck, having front yard of 37 feet instead of required 50 feet, and side yard of 21.2 feet instead of required 25 feet. Second-story addition having rear yard of 25.4 feet instead of required 40 feet, and one-story addition attaching detached garage to dwelling, leaving rear yard of 3.6 feet instead of required 40 feet. All having total side yards of 43.6 feet instead of required 60 feet, and floor area ratio of 25.9% instead of permitted 25%. Residence AAA District, east side of Washington Avenue, 929.2 feet north of Suffolk Avenue, Brentwood.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Mark Alexander Espinal. My office is at 41 Colonial Road, Smithtown, New York, 11787. I'm here on behalf of the owners of the property at 29 Washington Avenue, Brentwood, New York. The applicants have lived in the community for most of their lives, and in 2021, they purchased this home with the hope of making these home improvements mainly so each of their kids can have their own bedrooms and they will have more space to entertain friends and family. We believe these requests should be granted because this dwelling is zoned in a AAA district where the minimum requirements is a 40,000 square foot lot, and this lot is only 10,000 square feet, which is adequate for a B zone, which is directly across the street. Therefore, we believe these changes will remain consistent with the character of the neighborhood and will not alter the pattern of development in the community, nor will it devalue the surrounding property values. Respectfully, we request the board to grant the requested relief, and thank you for your consideration of our request.
anybody live in that garage?
No, it's a garage. It's most likely gonna stay a garage. But they wanted to connect it to add a pantry, and the basement is non-existent really. So they'll do washing and laundry room in there, and like, typical storage for a basement will go there because their basement is like a small part of their house. It's like 8 foot. Where? In the garage window? So, yeah, I don't know if that's, it's unfinished. I know that much. No one's living in there. I don't know why there's an AC in there. I didn't even see that.
Generally, somebody's living in there, that's why they have an AC.
Well, the garage is not connected right now, and we're going to connect it to make it a part of the house. Those pictures are when they just bought the house in 2021. So, I don't know if it was left over or what, honestly. But when I saw the garage, I didn't submit any interior pictures, but it was just a garage. I don't know.
What it looks like inside, do you?
Just old garage, old sheetrock.
So you've seen the inside?
I've seen the inside, absolutely.
In the inside.
Yes, and I always I could get you
There's also
pictures.
there's also an antenna, a dish antenna on the top.
Yeah, so honestly, like I said, these pictures are just when
We
they
have a lot of garden equipment that
purchased.
likes to watch the Yankee games and
Yeah.
the cool environment. I mean, how much do we have to pretend we don't see before it becomes?
Well, so these are when she bought the house, right? But right now we want to convert it to a part of the house. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. No, not at all. From when I saw it, she just bought the house. I went over with the pictures. From my recollection, it's just old dirty garage, and she's like, "Let's make this a part of the house if possible, so I could get a pantry in there, storage, laundry." If we would try to not, let you see, I wouldn't have submitted those pictures showing an antenna, or I told her to take it off. But honestly, it's there when she purchased the house, and, it's still an old garage now, waiting to be, remodeled. So she didn't take anything out, I guess. I do not know. It looks like it was built when the house was built. Yeah. For. Yeah.
The relaxation being requested to attach the garage to the house is about a 90% variance. So I don't think it's likely that the board was going to entertain that part of this application. So that's just my comment. It's to attach it to the main house. It's supposed to have a rear yard setback of 40 feet. It currently has a rear yard setback of 3.6 feet.
Yes.
How do we get around that? I mean, we have to use the test of such. And when you attach it, it requires.
No, that's fair. I agree, but also it's been there. It was granted since, I guess, the 40s. So by attaching it, we're not, coming closer to the neighbor or disturbing the neighbor anymore. So that was our justification for it. But I understand you didn't want to set precedent for it, so.
I can't do.
It's 36 point. No. Fair enough, yeah. No, that's fair. We have, some special conditions. You could see how close the garage is to the house right now. It's only separated by 3 feet. Which is, you would think it probably should have been attached from the beginning if you're going to build it so close to the property, to the dwelling. Existed on this property is 37, so we're just aligning with it. You have I submitted surveys, but, okay, so 40. So that's yeah, so the setback to the addition is 40.8, but in the variance, denial letter, they put it at 37, I guess, because that's where the porch is. But this actual second story addition is 40.8 setback.
Zoom out just a little bit. So the AAA designation in this area is a little bit of an anomaly. It's not placed in this area, in my opinion, because of the proximity of the traffic control. So just now, you can expand a little bit, that's it. So you can see the AAA is there, but very few of the homes maintain as much as 40,000 square feet. So the setback requirements of AAA being imposed on this lot are a bit of a challenge. The lot is substantially less. It's only 10,000 square feet, not 40,000. 10,000 would be actually lower than a single than quarter acre. Yeah, it's more similar to speed, which is a different one down right across the other side of the road. So the AAA was, I believe, was placed on that area when AAA was invented, I like to say, in 1961, probably to protect development of the Brunswick Country Club, which was a little bit further north.
Didn't work.
I imagine in 61, most of those houses were there.
Right. So they superimposed AAA on an area that's existing 60 by 100, 50 by 100. What is that supposed to happen?
That further subdivision, maybe at that point, the country club, which was now owned by the town, was privately owned. We know another golf course in town that a lower density zone was applied to that. Perfect.
If you were to grant part of this application, that effect, or they will have no effect if you go back.
It's not terribly forward of the existing front yard.
Well, that's not really, really the stumbling block is the 2.6.
That's the way we want to see.
One-story addition attaching detached garage. Anyone else would like to be heard in this application?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. I appreciate it.
Application number 495-23, Smith Tech, Inc. Permission to erect two-story dwelling, leaving floor area ratio of 38.7% instead of permitted 25%. General Service T District, west side of Carlton Avenue, 75 feet north of Moffett Boulevard, East Islip.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Louis Castellano, 2539 Middle Country Road, Center Beach, New York. I realize that when we submitted this plan, it's 38%, which is not going to fly. We tried to eliminate the second car garage and the closet upstairs. We only came down to 34.5%, which is not going to fly. So I resubmitted the plans just now to you gentlemen, which gives us 2247 square feet, which on the 75 by 100 would give us a 29.9% relaxation. See, I learned from last week. So yeah, so with 30%, it would be a 30%. You have a, yeah, so. Yeah, we use it somewhere else on another location. But that plan fits, how the footprint fits the location. Yeah, we're good with that.
Anyone else would like to be heard in this application?
Great, thank you for your help all the time, I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Application number 496-23, Bola EM Realty LLC, PMG LI LLC. Permission to erect gasoline service station on lot having area of 33,057 square feet instead of required 40,000 square feet, with building having front yards of 25 feet instead of required 30 feet each, canopy having front yard of 22.5 feet instead of required 35 feet, and height of 23 feet instead of permitted 22 feet. Vacuum and air pump having front yard of 5 feet instead of required 35 feet. Ground sign having gas price section of 15 square feet instead of permitted 6 square feet. 3 facial signs where only 1 is permitted, and canopy sign having sign area of 11.3 square feet instead of permitted 11.1 square feet. Facing residential zone where prohibited. Business 3 District, southeast corner of Bayshore Road and Manor Lane through lot to Howells Road, Bayshore.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Hansley Mohan of Brown, Altman, and DeLeo, 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301 West, Melville, New York, 11747.
spell your last name, please?
Mohan.
Thank you.
I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Bola EM Realty LLC. To my left here is Mr. Tartaglia of High Point Engineering, the project engineer.
Can you just slow it down a little as well?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
This is Mr. Christopher Tartaglia of High Point Engineering, the project engineer. Also with me tonight is Amanda LaRosa of Stonefield Engineering, our traffic expert. Both of our experts are available at any time if the board has any questions. Just briefly, as by way of background, the property is approximately 33,057 square feet in area and is located at the southeastern corner of the signalized intersection of Bayshore Road and Manor Lane. According to the building division certificate, the property has operated as a gasoline service station since 1971. The property is unique in that it is surrounded by residential properties, with the one exception being the dental office to the northeast. Bola intends to redevelop the property with a brand-new gasoline service station and accessory convenience store. On March 10th, 2022, the Islip Town Board approved Bola's application to modify deed covenants and restrictions associated with TC number 1931. A copy of the Town Board approval has been submitted in the exhibit package as Exhibit 1. On March 1st, 2023, the Town Planning Board approved Bola's application for a special use permit for a convenience market in the Business 3 District. A copy of the Planning Board approval resolution has been submitted as Exhibit 2. As part of the redevelopment of the property, we are here tonight to request certain area and sign variance relief. Before I proceed to discuss the requested variances, I'd just like to note for the board that one of the items on the call of the meeting is a variance to permit a fuel canopy height of 23 feet, where the code permits a maximum of 22 feet. This denial was based on an original plan that has since been revised. We have revised the plans to reflect compliance with the code with respect to the height of the fuel canopy. I believe there was a settlement between the applicant and the town. I believe our last correspondence with the planning department, Mr. Sherlin Colgan, had indicated that we were able to subsequently file with the planning board for a special permit for the convenience store, and then subsequently then thereafter an application for variance relief to the zoning board of appeals.
Okay, that didn't answer my question. Was there a decision rendered in the Supreme Court or no? Is this predate?
I believe it was settled out of court without a decision, but I can confirm.
I was just curious, so we would have a complete record.
It's been settled.
It's been settled, discontinued? Okay, was this yours?
Planning, do you have any comment?
Correct. Yep, they are all indirectly eliminated. And also with respect to the variances for the placement of the signs with it facing residential properties, we just note that the placement of the new signs will be identical to what's currently existing at the site. Yeah. Correct. Well, our position essentially is that it is a existing condition at the site currently, and given that it is surrounded by residential uses, there really is no feasible way to have the signs on the canopy without the requested variance relief. Yeah. Well, with respect to the northern elevation, the mobile sign will essentially be facing along Bayshore Road, which is a major commercial thoroughfare. And then the only other sign that we would have would be the canopy sign would be to the west along Manor Lane, which is also very heavily trafficked. Correct. Yeah. Well, we understand, and this property is very unique Isn't that why we're here? Right. Right.
They're not supposed to be internally illuminated in the face of residents, so they're like indirectly, so they're open directly.
I don't
That means like the gooseneck lighting like above, you can see it like this type of lighting that's off
It's misunderstanding the code. Facing residential. That covers all the sides.
Right.
We're not creating an issue for the neighbors, and I don't know the statute well enough to opine on it.
If I may offer, this issue was actually incorporated in the town board's resolution. They noted, they added the restriction and limitation on the illumination of signs in the town board covenants and restrictions, which we recorded to essentially mitigate the issue of the fact that the property is uniquely surrounded by residential properties, yet was also operating as a gasoline service station since 1971.
I understand that, but I don't know if the town board can just go pretend a prohibition doesn't exist. I don't think anybody can. I just don't.
We could ask council maybe.
Yeah.
Can we grant variances on prohibited items?
I would have to look into the specific section. Specifically, I mean, for dimensional requirements, I mean, there's
Right.
case law for that you can treat it more like an area variance instead
But
of.
this says no. But I want to make sure that it seems like there's a subtle distinction. And if you fall within that exception, I don't think it's a problem. If you don't, I think it is a problem. And I just don't know enough of town code.
Right, I would want to review the specific.
Yeah.
section.
So, yeah, I'm listening to Mr. Sullivan and he's suggesting we reserve it on that basically limited issue. Because I think that's the only issue that I see.
So then the issue that we're faced with is essentially whether the zoning board of appeals would be able to grant variance relief with respect to this specific code provision because of the
Well,
prohibit.
we know the code says it's prohibited. Okay, so there's a prohibition. However, you and Deidre are explaining there is a nuanced reading of the statute that may take you out of that prohibition. If it does, fine. I just don't know. I'm not an expert.
Well, the way we had interpreted it is that the code,
Oh, I know the way you're going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. Come on. What are you talking about?
well, essentially, we, I think as was mentioned, are viewing it as an area variance relief where you have a specific requirement set forth in the code and that, based on the circumstances and
Why
the merits of the case.
If I may suggest, why don't we reserve decision? And if you'd like to submit on it and educate us, we need education. I mean, you don't have to, but, and he's whispering in your ear, so.
We just were curious if the board had any other questions with respect to the other variance relief, or if this was the only issue we would need to adjourn for.
I couldn't hear what you're saying.
Sorry. If we're just curious if the board had any other questions regarding any of the other variances requested.
I think based on planning's comments and the fact that it's been approved, we're okay with everything else. Right?
Yeah, everything else is a small site, they're kind of making it. I did pull up the part of code and it just canopy regulations under the retail fuel
Can you put that on the
service
screen?
station. It's number, letter B.
In no case may a canopy sign face towards an adjacent residential zone or use.
I think
So-
in no case is pretty much
Yeah.
gives us the answer.
Yeah, I mean, they went out of their way to say in no case, not, in some cases. So is it a canopy sign? Let's look at the statute. Is it a canopy sign?
Correct, it is canopy signs.
Frontage is it on of the, because you've got,
Yes, it's on the northern frontage along Bay Shore Road and then to the west along Manor Lane.
so are we sure that the residential zone is adjacent or is that opposite of the street?
It's opposite to the street. Yep, the dental office is to the northeast.
Right, but is it adjacent?
We count that adjacent when we review signs, at least even if it's across the street.
Why don't we,
That might be a tough interpretation on your part.
We've done that in the past, the other law that was
Mhm.
along the highway service center as well. There was a sign that was technically adjacent.
And they withdrew it at the hearing, right?
Mhm.
Yes. There's another one that I believe you handled on 111 and.
111. Yes, we have an approval for 111 in Brentwood.
So we granted that as an
I
area
agree,
variance, right?
yeah.
Correct.
You could tell us.
There is precedent that it's been granted as an area variance, which is,
I would like to reserve so we can study it. If you're entitled to it, fine. I just don't want to create problems for the residential neighbors. And I just don't have the knowledge to deal with it.
But aside from that issue. we're okay
Yes,
with it,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
I mean, when the statute says in no case, even we understand what, I mean, no means no.
but with respect, it was also incorporated into the engineering department's denial notice, which prompted us to include it in our request for variance relief from the ZBA. So the engineering staff, to the extent, believed that it was permissible with the discretion of the board to grant this as an area variance.
I don't think we have much discretion when it says in no case.
Well, you can interpret.
But we'd have to interpret it to mean what?
The adjacent.
That's not adjacent.
That it's not
The residential
adjacent.
zone is not adjacent.
And we've received prior relief that is similar.
Isn't it right across the street?
What's adjacent?
Adjacent
Street
next
is
to it.
adjacent.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's not directly abutting.
Then we have to see what adjacent.
It's facing toward adjacent residential.
Right.
He's facing northeast,
Right.
which crosses Dr. Block.
But what else could adjacent mean? I mean, is the interpretation's got to be right next?
Well, what if it
right
was
next to
Sunrise
it?
Highway? And it was,
Well, it's not, but I'm saying, what is the only other interpretation? It's got to be right next door? That's adjacent? I mean, doesn't it presume that a gasoline station would be on a
How do
semi,
we apply it with precedent?
I think it was intended to protect the house to the east, which is adjacent.
right?
Which we have no signs facing that property to the east.
I mean, what else could they say? Across the street? How else would the town code have delineated?
I don't think it was in the. It's a county road. It's pretty substantial.
So you mean if there was no road there, it would be intended to protect
The adjacent.
the adjacent? We need, you know what? We need to figure out what adjacent means as far as in our zoning. I mean, I don't know.
Would it be helpful if we submit a decision with that granted prior relief from this board?
Your prior decision?
We have a prior decision, correct?
I'm
Yes.
sure.
Okay.
But I think we need to.
Is there any chance that that's addressed in this stipulation of settlement?
The issue with respect to the cannabis signs, no.
Mhm.
To be sure.
Yeah. So we need to determine what adjacent means in context of zoning. All right. Maybe the town attorney's office, Leah Jordan, can point us.
Take a look. I mean, if it was granted with precedent too, how did we apply adjacent in that prior?
I don't
Right,
remember.
so
That was
I would-
probably a couple of years ago. I may have been chairman, so I probably wasn't listening. All right. I mean, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we reserve decision on that discrete issue and invite council to submit whatever you think is appropriate and ask our council to submit whatever is appropriate.
Any second on that? motion?
Second.
All in favor? All right.
If we deny it, what would they do? Just not have the sign? Have
Right.
the canopy sign?
We would essentially have a gasoline service station with no canopy signs.
Does anyone like to be heard on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to point out that the public has not yet had the opportunity to speak.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Britton. Would you like to speak on
Before
this?
you close the meeting.
Yes, I apologize. I apologize. Would you like to speak on this? Would anybody else? Would anybody else?
He
like
was
to
just
speak?
aid to
troublemaker.
the board.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Poll monitor.
You wanna know that?
Yeah. All right, so we've got nothing else from the public on this. We've got no questions from the board, and we've got a motion for a reserved decision, which has been seconded.
I'll second.
You made the motion.
Oh, I second. I already seconded.
Then he already
And
seconded.
we all voted in favor? All right, so reserved decision.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Application number 497-23, 62 West Main Holdings LLC. Permission to erect third-story additions on front property line instead of required 10 feet, to erect third-story additions and covered deck, leaving building height of 43.3 feet instead of permitted 35 feet, all resulting in floor area ratio of 219.9% instead of permitted 60%. Business District, south side of West Main Street, 76.99 feet west of South Park Avenue, through lot to Gibson Street, Bay Shore.
Before you, I just want to make sure if there's anyone else here who'd like to be heard of this application.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the applicant, Steve Bertolino, 130 West Main Street, East Islip, New York. So as you can see, we've put up some placards here with the depictions of the elevations, and I've just handed up to the board a March 1st, 2023 Planning Board decision on this matter. This is an existing two-story building on West Main Street in Bay Shore. Many of you may know it as the old South Shore Outdoor Facility. The lower level was a retail store, and the upper level years ago was a manufacturing level. The current applicant proposes to have two restaurants. One is tenanted. We signed a lease with a ramen noodle place, and the other tenanted space has not been leased as of yet. The application is to have the two restaurants on the first floor and the second floor. And the main reason that we're here is for the increase in the FAR from, get this, 194% to 219%. We don't see these very often, but this is an existing building that has the two stories that already has 194.25% FAR, and we're asking for an increase of 25.56 to 219.81. The primary reason for that increase is, as you can see to your left on the depiction that we have, is for the creation of a rooftop bar area. So this rooftop bar area will consist of two staircases, one coming up in the south, one coming up in the north. It'll have public restrooms, his, hers, and those in between. And then you have a storage facility. And they're also counting as part of that FAR on the third story is going to be an open but roofed over bar and a seating area. So all told, we are adding about 2,300 square feet to the building, but we are not increasing anything on the footprint. The footprint is remaining the same. The increase in FAR is for the rooftop surface. And as I mentioned a moment ago, handing up the planning board decision, the applicant has signed the requested special permit conditions. We fully intend to comply with all of those conditions that the board may peruse. The other part of this is the zero setback. So as you know, in a BD, we don't really need a setback for the building. And I'm sorry, the setback has to be 10 feet on the front side, and we don't have any side yard setback. So on the east side of the building, we're adjoining, or the two buildings abut, and on the west side, we actually are next to the park. There's a little gazebo in that park area. The applicant intends on revamping all of the elevations for the building, so the three sides that are visible to the public will be completely revamped, as you can see from the architecture here. So what we're doing is taking a 60 to 70-year-old building, and we're going to revamp it to 2023 standards. And part of those standards, at least in some views, is to have that rooftop area. The rooftop area will be screened in the north.
I'm sorry, Mr. Burley, what is the rooftop for, a bar?
It's for a bar service, incidental, like it's a bar, but it's to service, it's an incidental service to the restaurant uses on the main two floors. So it'll be operation from 8 in the morning would be the, how should we say, earliest, and 12 at night. It'll shut down at 12. We have covenants that we will not have any live music playing, no amplified music playing, and we certainly will have screening for, I think some of the concerns the planning board had was there's an apartment complex across the street on top of Salt and Barrel, which is a local restaurant. So we've installed certain screenings.
So let me just ask you, they want to reface, revamp the building. And then what they want to do is make the roof usable space for bar service.
That's correct.
The whole.
That's the application. So we're not changing the footprint, just the look, and the planning board agreed.
No, they're just doing, a lot of it's like what they need to do for that, they're supposed to, something like that. I don't.
Canopy signs.
None that face the public or the residential uses, no, adjacent, usually means next to, but what do I know? That's all I have unless the board has any other applications. I mean, it seems like a lot, but again, the footprint's not changing. We are making certain improvements to the rear of the parcel. On Gibson Street, we'll be installing a garbage refuse area, which doesn't exist now. We will have some grease traps and sewage improvements that need to be made on that. All of that was worked out with the planning department and, approved by the planning board. I know some residents, again, I want to point out the main thing I recall at the planning board hearings was that some residents were concerned about, noise, and that's why we covenanted that there would be no live music, no amplified music. And then some of the board members had some concerns about the visibility from the rooftop into the apartments across the street. You point out that New York City is full of high rises with open windows and blinds. Bayshore, is now going to have, hopefully, if this board sees fit, will now have this rooftop bar, and I understand there's an application pending for another one across the street or diagonally in a different direction. But that's why we added 8'6" screenings. It consists of some opaque glass and then some plantings along the way so that you can't really see out of that bar area. And then there'll be seating, I think, for approximately 70 people on top of the roof. And again, closed down at midnight. Yes. Well, we're hoping 4 or 5 months, and if the weather continues like this, who knows, might be 9 or 10 months. Depends on who you ask.
Anybody else like to be heard of this application?
Thank you. Good evening.
Application number 339-23, adjourned from May 9, 2023. James Rocco and Daniel and Nicole Slavin. Permission to subdivide and reconfigure 2 parcels. Lot 1 to leave 1 dwelling having side yard of 2.4 feet instead of required 14 feet. Detached garage 12.5 feet by 18.5 feet having rear yard of 0.9 feet instead of required 4 feet. Patio on side property line not having required setback of 4 feet. And Lot 2, to erect 2-story dwelling on lot having width of 60 feet instead of required 75 feet, lot area of 6,000 square feet instead of required 7,500 square feet, leaving floor area ratio of 37.17% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, northwest corner of Inca Drive and Richland Boulevard, Bayshore.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman and the Honorable Zoning Board of Appeals for the Town of Islip. David Moran for the applicant, 96 South Ocean Avenue, Patchogue, New York. Good evening. As the board may recall, this lot and these lots are the subject of the merger doctrine of the Town of Islip. It was adjourned last time for us to shrink the size of the house and meet with Deirdre in planning to see what Deirdre might support in far as nature and character of this area. We've done that. I've resubmitted to the board a plan calling for something less than 30%, which I believe was the threshold that Deirdre said she could reasonably support. We've shrunk the house by 400 and I think 16 square feet, reducing now the floor area ratio to just under 30%. That's being amended at this time.
You're requesting the amendment, correct?
I'm requesting the amendment.
30%?
What do we work it out to? It's like 29 point something.
Want 30%?
I want 30%.
You want 30%?
30%, Mr. Wexler.
You'll get it.
Thank you.
Seconded already? All in favor? Think this.
Other issues this board may recall, and I don't want to do the whole presentation again, it was a subject of the merger doctrine. The applicants, we have some people here, maybe in opposition, maybe in support. They are the owner of the house that's to be left on Lot 1, which currently exists where it exists with those setbacks. The property was purchased thereafter, which caused the merger, then sold off a couple of times. So the board was inclined last time to grant the subdivision, as I recall, because the Roccos are kind of in a rock and a hard place with their lot. But you wanted us to revisit the size of the house, which we did.
When, Mr. Moran, when was the existing house built?
Anybody? In the 20s?
In the 1920s.
Yes.
That's the existing dwelling?
That's the existing dwelling on, yes.
So with the subdivision, it'll have a side yard of 2.4 feet instead of the required 14.
Well, it's what exists now, correct.
And what type of variances, if any, do you need on the proposed?
Well, we need the 6,000 to 7,500, right? 70.
You have 6,000, you need 7,500.
Yes, and then it was the area ratio, which we reduced to hopefully meet planning satisfaction.
And in the surrounding neighborhood, what are the properties like vis-a-vis the 6,000 versus 7,500?
Well, again, if you look at the map, and we went through this last time during the presentation, these are quadranted properties, all in a grid, all existing about the same, give or take. And what you had access to do for the conformity side of it to meet with planning, which is, I would hope, which is how she came up with the 30% number, what she would support.
Let me see if there is any opposition.
Absolutely, sir.
Anybody else like to be heard in this application?
Good evening, board. My name is Daniel Slavin. I'm the owner of 19 Inca. I currently do not have opposition. I would just like to have my variance basically, because I was drawn into this unwillingly and unknowingly, that when Mr. Broussier was trying to build on his property, that the previous owner had, I guess, somehow merged the lots together or was never subdivided properly. So I just want to be in compliance and not have a problem.
You're part of the application, correct?
I believe I had to make the application. Bruce had come to my door and had me sign some papers that would start the process.
What happens to you if we don't grant the application?
To my understanding, with the way it was explained to me, was that I would now not be able to, if I ever wanted to, I guess, install a pool or make a extension on my home, I would not be able to because the home is not in compliance.
You own that house? That's yours?
Yes, 19 Inca.
Sorry?
19 Inca, yes.
You bought it in 19?
I bought it in 21, end of 21, beginning of 22.
Address. 19.
The address.
The address,
Oh, that's the address.
yes.
Who'd you buy it from?
My father-in-law, Robert Novak.
Chairman, can I hear from Deidre since your name's been
Yeah.
used prominently?
Please, plenty.
Well, From what I
I'm just gonna
remember,
move up. I have military hearing, so does not have a microphone.
from what I remember, there's also the issue that the house, the left was on the side yard, 2.4. My biggest issue was the FDR regulations for 17. Looking at what was previously supplied with the aerial, there's 85 total lots in the radius. 29 of those are 6,000 or less, so it's probably about 34%. That's where it's kind of, obviously, I don't want to hinder the house owner that's frame out. When his house isn't or everything it's not just the whole area is 1%, not 4%. It's 34%.
But you say only 34%. I thought that was kind of high.
No, it is, yeah.
I mean, 29
It's
of
just-
85, that's on the high side, I think.
Makes
And I've
sense.
never, you say 50%, I've never heard that 50%.
Well, I mean, if it was like
can't hear
split, like, there
Right.
are just so many not.
Right, but 34% is pretty high.
And Chairman, if you don't mind, if you could see, all these grids, these boxes were built the same. I would probably, if we went and actually looked, it's all of that corner, which is probably the 29%, because they're all built just about the same as far as configuration on the lot.
So the 2.6 feet from the property line, that's existing.
Yes.
Yes, but there's a vacant property next to it. I'm not
Right.
entirely sure how it was when it wasn't merged or it was merged.
No, there was some,
That whole-
yeah, there was some fugazi in the merging, as I recall. That's a zoning term, but,
So it's 2.4 to vacant property where there was no house and now.
right. If we were to grant this, it doesn't open up numerous other grants in the neighborhood.
No, if there's specific conditions on it stating that the house was previously.
Right.
Like, oh, kind of like
Right.
putting everything into it. But that's just what I would be more concerned about. Just because the lots are configured as they are. It's already a hard situation.
If we do grant this, is that something we should write on, Jordan? So we don't create issues?
We can.
Yeah, I mean, it could be brief, just explaining. It is 2.6.
Right.
But the reason, okay.
It's 2.4.
2.4. Oh, it's not 2.6? Oh,
Yeah, it's changes
forget it.
everything.
Yeah,
It changes
changes
everything.
everything.
No, no, sure, no.
Any other questions for Mr. Slavin? Is there anyone else who would like to be heard? Please come up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slavin.
My name is Craig Dutton. I live across the street from this lot that we're talking about.
Can you just give us your street address, please?
Yeah, 1387 Richland Boulevard. D as in David, Utton. First name's Craig. Okay, and just at the last time, the meeting, we talked about safety's sake. Will Daniel ever be able to put up a fence at 2.4 feet? I mean, what I'm concerned about is people's safety. First responders. That's what I said the last time. That's my question. And
As long as it's within the code.
within the code. So for first responders going on the site, they'll have to rip the fence down. God forbid they have to fight a fire or any other reason.
As long as he puts a fence up that's within the code, then.
Yeah, no, I mean, it could be whatever, 4 or 5 feet. It's code.
Legal.
Well, yeah, no, I understand that, but that's one of the considerations that I was hoping you guys would address. And also, as far as opening up a can of worms elsewhere in the neighborhood, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't, but I just wish you would take a respectable amount of time and go through this thoroughly. And that's about all I got to say.
The last time this matter was on, it was a long hearing. I don't know if you were here.
I think I've been here for everyone since 17, I think.
Every single meeting? No more.
4.
So this was a long hearing, and really what the issue was the FAR of the proposed addition. They were at 37%. We said, no way, and they brought it down to what we normally grant. That was the main issue. And it appears that they complied with that request, met with planning, and they meet all of the safety about what you're saying, first responders. That's not our, we're just dimensional. That's not our department. That's engineering, that's planning, that's other departments. We have no jurisdiction.
Okay.
We don't have any knowledge of it. I don't know anything about what first responders require.
Well, if a fireman's got to go on the side and it's
No,
up
but
to
that's
6
not
foot,
before
but
us.
that's all I'm saying.
I know, but that's not our jurisdiction.
Okay, I
I
understand
I
that.
mean, if they want to give us taxing jurisdiction, we'll raise your taxes, but we wouldn't like that.
Well, you
But
do
you-
already
you-
do a
you-
good job of that.
You understand what I'm, right, you understand what I'm saying? We just have the dimensional requirement, and they met the requirement that we placed on them. Make it smaller, and they did it.
Yeah, no, I understand it. Now, can I ask you, like, it's sort of after the fact, but why was Mr. Rocco denied 2 or 3 times?
He wasn't,
Objection.
Yeah, you wish.
he wasn't denied. He attempted to apply for just the individual lot, just the 60 by 100. It wasn't a subdivision application. They were told that they had to come back as a subdivision.
Okay, so he messed up. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Good luck.
Good night. Yep.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No? Okay. Mr. Moran, you have anything else? Or do we have any other questions from the board?
Nope.
Planning, nothing else?
Okay.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
and not a motion to adjourn.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we grant the application as amended. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application is granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to call that other one just,
That they're not going to answer.
but they're not either, but.
Has anybody arrived on the application of Abel Gonzalez, Juan Madrid, and Vilma Madrid? We'll contact them and find out if there was confusion. Okay, we have 10 accessory apartments to renew for a period of 3 years. Anybody want to make a motion to renew those 10 accessory apartments for a period of 3 years?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
And that's a wrap. That's it. We have no more cases to vote.
When is
Yeah.
this executive?
Well, let's go off
Yeah, I
record
thought-
first.
We're done, Kirk. Thank you.
When are we doing the executive session?
Are we off?